Your one-man show today, Evan?
Yeah, well, Luke is in Arkansas with women's basketball.
Mm.
And Val, this is when she talks to baseball.
He said we're talking to baseball next.
Yes,
So
he'll be here.
Rick.
Ready, Tyler.
all right. Long weekend. You only played 3 games, but it felt
Yeah.
you technically played 4.
Yeah.
Talk about the weekend in general, and then we can talk into specific games. But how did you feel going back to Arlington for the first time as an opposing head coach?
Yeah, good to be back. It was fun to get to see a lot of people that I work with there, and obviously the athletes themselves. So anytime that you get to have a moment with those people, I mean, that's what this is about. And, it's so fun to build those relationships, and they don't just, like I say it all the time, but it lasts far beyond a pair of white lines. So just good to see them and get to enjoy a little bit of time with them in between, obviously, all the games being played. Overall, I mean, the weekend we competed, I think, really well. Of course, would love that we had more W's in the win column, but we keep learning, we keep growing, and this team just keeps responding, keeps showing up, and that's all I could ever ask from them and for them. So, looking forward to going into this next weekend at home, and so far we've played well at home, so looking forward to continuing that.
And I mean, playing essentially 2 games on a Friday night.
Yeah.
You started when it was sunny. You ended when it was as cold and dark.
Yeah.
But the fact that your team was able to come back, avoid a sweep in Game 3 on Saturday, where they could have just said, "We're tired. We don't want to we want to get out of here." What does that say about your team that they're able to bounce back after a couple of tough losses to pick up a really gritty win on Game 3?
It's our team verse this year is Galatians 6:9. Do not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time you'll reap the harvest. And I just keep reminding them of that. It's like you got to keep doing it. You got to keep showing up. You got to keep responding. You fall down 7 times, you got to get up 8. So really proud of them. I mean, it's a tough loss on Friday, obviously. 14 innings, and Lena threw a terrific game. Coach Hines called a great game. We had multiple opportunities offensively and to score more runs, and I think defensively to shut out them in that 7th inning. I think at the end of the day, it's just part of the game. I will say it was didn't feel like 14 innings. It just kind of felt like we just kept playing, and you're just trying to find a way to scratch a run across and respond. So great game. I think she was 5 for 6 in that game, and Elizabeth was, contributed a little bit. I think we hit the ball hard. The wind was also blowing there. That wind seems to be following us around, and I think that changes the trajectory of the game as well in our favor a little bit. So, like I said, just proud of how they responded. And we talked, after the first game on Saturday, and I was like, listen, this is your choice of how to respond right now, but we're not going to go home, without a win, and we don't want to get swept. At the end of the day, you're in the conference and you're competing. Every game matters. So just being able to grind it out and find a way to win that that 3rd game. And Ella threw great, great 5 innings, and then Lena was able to come in and kind of get the save there at the end. So just a collective effort all around.
And I mean, that game Game 3 on Saturday, it wasn't a conventional way to score runs. I mean, you had 1 hit, 1 RBI from a hit, a single up the middle, but then the rest were either sack bunts, sack flies. I mean, the fact that your team is being that unselfish, not worrying about, hey, if I get a hit here, just score any run we can. How proud of you as a coach are you of that? That's not their mentality.
Yeah, and that's something we talked about since the beginning, and we keep hammering it. We practice it every week. We're going to manufacture runs. We're going to manufacture runs. We're going to manufacture runs. And so to get them to see it pay off, I think it's really awesome. I mean, you go ground ball right side, sack fly, like you said, sack bunts, and then the 1 hit, that obviously, makes a difference. So they're going to continue to buy into it, and I think, it's just building. So getting to see some success in it, and we'll just keep building off of it going forward.
And you have 4 conference wins already. Last season, 8 conference wins in total. You're not even halfway done with the conference play. So I know it's tough to look at that kind of a hindsight, but how good is it to be able to get some of those big wins in the win column, especially in a series like that?
Yeah, huge. And going forward, I told the team after, on Saturday, it's like, we're on the back half now of season. So it's, this is when, you got to start rolling, this is when you want to start getting hot. So, I've said it before, but, you don't want to win a championship in March, you win it in May. So just continuing to build towards that. And I think, we're on the path that is going in the trajectory that we want it to go right now. And so just continuing to compete. And I will say, like, the WAC is all super tight right now. Yeah, we're all in the fight right now in the middle. And I say even at the top, you're not that many games back from them. Like, we're all close, and that seems to be the trajectory of the WAC just in the last couple of years. It's like it's going to come down to the wire. So, for lack of a better term, the WAC is WAC, and anything can happen on any given day. So just seeing the scores from this weekend, GCU got beat twice at home, and anything can happen. And so it's just about remaining consistent and continuing to get better.
And now you guys got Utah Tech. What do you know about them, and what's it going to take to be able to bring home a series win this weekend?
Yeah, they're a good hitting team, and they have always been. I think that's always been their strength in the last couple of years, just playing them. So I think it'll be to our advantage again coming home and just being on our own soil and on our turf. So being able to just compete with them overall, I think it's going to be a battle just like every game. It's whoever's going to show up and make the plays and, pitch and hit. So you need at least 2 out of the 3 to be successful, and see if we can't put it together against them.
I don't think there's any dust storms expected.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Looks as though the weather is going to cooperate with us.
Yeah, but it's West Texas, so.
Have you ever had a game go 14 innings or more? Been a part of one?
I was trying to think about that. I'm sure there probably has been, but it has been a minute. I don't know that I've had one in a long time. And then, Lena it didn't even phase her. I will say, it didn't feel like 14 innings. It just felt like we were out there just like going for it. And just trying to find a way to win all across the board. And I think the defense played great in that game. That's something we've been talking a lot about, and I'm really passionate about defense, and I believe it wins championships. So just trying to get them to be more consistent in that area, and we've worked really hard on it. And I put them through some challenging things. So I know that game and then our third game we didn't have any errors, and to me that's the biggest difference in the runs being scored.
And she throws over 200 pitches that game, and it's really hard to be like, well, the last pitch is what decided the game, and then you bring her back on Saturday for the last 3 innings of the victory. I don't know, what was her attitude after Friday's game, and did you have to build her back up to go for Saturday?
Yeah. I think she was disappointed. Everyone always is. I think in those moments, of course, you're going to blame yourself. But I told her, I'm like, man, there was, 200 and something other pitches before that, and, like Val could have, thrown her body in front of that ball. We could have hit, clutched up. We had multiple opportunities to score. I mean, there's just so many different things. Defensively, we catch a ball in the 7th inning. It all goes back to there's just so many facets of this game that can happen and that can change. So just told her, like super proud of her. And I mean, she's thrown some gutsy games, and I know that the results don't say it, but I'm like, I would pick her every day to go up and face every team. She's done a great job, and I think it continues to build her confidence, and she knew she was going to come back at some point on Saturday. Obviously, I wasn't going to have her go 14 innings again, try to give some other athletes opportunities. And, Chase threw okay, and like I said, Ella threw great, and just trying to build on, both of them. And it's going to take more than just one, and that's the beauty of having a staff. So I think showing her leadership in that way, and then helping her fellow pitchers, try to rise to that occasion, I think has been big for her. And so just continuing to encourage her in that. But yeah, so proud of her. And like I said, Coach Hines continues to call a great game for her, and it's been fun to watch.
Schaefer is one of the 2 players who's started every game this year at first base. What's been her impact on your team?
Yeah, Elizabeth's just a leader. It's hard to not have her on the field. Her voice is just so big. I think she just carries herself with such a good presence. Doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low, and so it's hard. I think it's going to be tough for anybody to beat her out over there. She carries herself with just a leadership mentality that, it's not about me, it's about what can I do for the team, and just confidence in that way, and instills confidence in the people around her.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Lena's shoulder Could she,
She's good. I mean,
I
it's so
don't
different than
I'm not sure.
I don't think I've ever had. I think the most I've had is like 16.
Yeah, I've been at some long ones, but I can't remember the longest one on a Monday morning, especially.
Just playing 2 games in one, in one.
Yeah.
So it started whack play over the weekend. Not necessarily the start you want to get out to, not winning the series, but some valuable lessons probably learned in there. Kind of just talk about the weekend overall.
Yeah, overall, I think the week overall, it's a lot. It's a lot to digest. It's when you go back and kind of start to put together some areas in which you feel like you did well, some areas that you got to get better in, and as we're constantly trying to evolve as a team and staff, like what do we need to do to become our best? I think there was some good. There was a lot of good, I think, when you look at it. But unfortunately, we started the week with giving up 9 runs in the top of the first to Stephen F., which isn't how you want to start a week ever. But then you end the week, we gave up 11 runs in a 3-game set against GCU, who was picked to win the league, and some fairly hitter-friendly environments this weekend with the weather. But so I thought there was some good in between, some frustration in between. I thought our guys competed at a really high level this weekend, man. Each game came down to 1 or 2 pitches. You got the Friday night game that's a 1-run game on Friday night. I think 2 of the best pitchers in the league are going back and forth at the preseason pitch of the year that they've got, and I think our guys pretty good too on Friday. And man, they're matching each other pitch by pitch, 0 to 0, and it comes down to the smallest things. The margins are so thin. Saturday the same. Brett, man, put the team on his back and goes complete game. Gives up 1. Their guy's almost as good. He's perfect. So I thought the pitching was really the strength of the weekend for both teams. And then Sunday, I thought Kay gave us a quality start. He pitched with some elements. We had a couple. We were on the wrong side of a couple calls, unfortunately, that added runs to the scoreboard for them and didn't get us off the field twice, which is part of the game at times. We don't have replay in the WAC, So you just got to wear it and own it at times. But we still had a shot there at the end, down 1-2 swings to jump back in. So I think at the end of the time when it kind of settles, and we don't have a ton of time to continue to look back, but I think preseason 1 and 2 teams in the league, it's a really tight series all weekend. I don't know where we'll be at the end. I know we'll be different. I would think we've got a couple guys coming back from an injury. We'll continue to evolve, I hope. So I hope from where we are this week 1 in WAC, to the last weekend of the year, we're a different looking team, a more competitive team in some areas, but continue to highlight some things that we did real well, I think, as we go through the rest of the stretch.
And I mean, your roster, I think you said you have 20-something new faces. This is their first taste of WAC play, and they go up against the reigning WAC champs, preseason favorite, and they're, like you said, 2 to 3 pitches away from winning a series. What does that say about your team, and kind of the message that you had for them that, hey, we're in this, like we're going to be one of those teams?
No, we're 2 to 3 inning pitches away from sweeping a series. That's the frustrating part. That's the maddening part, in which, now I'm sure they can say the same thing. That's baseball. When 2 teams are playing each other, that's, again, the championship margin is so thin. It does come down to a pitch and a play and some of those things. So I don't doubt our guys have confidence. Like we've got confidence in that environment. We've played them really well. I think we're 6 and 7. Again, which those numbers were different, but they've been a ton of competitive games. So I think there's a good respect for both teams with each other, and I hope we have an opportunity to compete against them here later on at the end of the year. Again, to see who's developing, who's pushing, and getting a little bit better throughout the course. But no, I think we've got a confident bunch of guys, as they should be. They've found ways to win a bunch of different games. We've won low-scoring, tight games. We've won some shootouts. We've won where it's been chilly. We've won where it's been warm. We've won on the road. We've won at home. So we've done a ton here early in the year. So I think our guys are confident. I'm sure they're disappointed because they know we had an opportunity there to take care of some business early in league play to set us up for some good things later. But at the end of the day, I think I mentioned this last week, like the championship wasn't earned or lost this weekend. I think we've got so many more weekends in front of us. So that's the exciting part, that it was on the front end of it. We've got an opportunity now to keep playing, keep getting better, stack some series wins, find a way to sweep a few and put us in a really good spot for the conference tournament. So nothing changed other than the weekend, other than you got an opportunity to take care of business here at home.
And your big thing for this whole season, and pretty much the entire time I've known you, is that your team taking that next step, learning lessons regardless of the outcome. Do you think your team did that this weekend, and what were some of the lessons that you think they saw?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's always going to come down to the more times you're in those games, the more comfortable you get in those games. So, and if you come out on the good side of it, that gives you more confidence the next time. If you don't come out on the good side of it, if you take it as a lesson learned, you'll be more comfortable the next time. So, I mean, I think that's going to be the main thing as we push through, and that'll be the same thing tomorrow night. You want to get to a point throughout the year where, hey, this is your role, this is what we need to do, this is how we're going to try to do it. But inherently, man, there's going to be an opportunity at some point where someone's in a role that hasn't been the norm for them maybe, and they've got to perform well for the team to win. So now there's going to be a ton of lessons, I think, as we go through. Don't necessarily going to get into all those this morning, but we'll certainly pull some stuff as we jump into a new week, 0-0 today, and Dallas Baptist coming here tomorrow. Then we jump on the road to go to Orem this weekend to play Utah Valley. So there should be a good sense of excitement. There's no, oh man, we lost the series at home. We're going to move on to a new week pretty quick here. So that's going to be the case, good or bad.
And I know Grand Canyon, solid program. Dallas Baptist, another solid program. I mean, they're ranked in the top 15 of the country. Just talk about the opportunity you get to play against a team of that caliber. They've made deep regional runs. How good is it to be able to play those kinds of teams and learn about yourself? Yeah,
no, I've got nothing but respect for Dan at DBU. Was so fortunate to work there for 3 years with him alongside, and kind of see how he runs a faith-based institution or program. You know, he's the best in that regard in so many ways. Excited to have them here. We've played them in the fall. This will be the first time we've played them in the regular season. So they'll come in with a physical group, with a well-coached group, with a competitive group, a team that plays the game the right way. But I hope at the end of the night, tomorrow night, they say the same thing about our guys. You know, a physical group, a well-coached group, a team that's going to compete at a high level the right way. So hopefully on the field tomorrow night, there's a pretty good, there's some similarities in programs. They've just had the consistency part here over the last decade because he's built such a consistent program, and we've talked about that here before. That's what we're trying to aspire to do is getting above that 35 win to 40 win mark each year and do it with some consistency. That's what Dan and them have been able to do.
Now you go first road trip of WAC play. Talk about the challenges that come with that, and I mean with so many new faces that have never traveled, it's a Monday, never traveled for a conference series. Talk about that and the challenges that come with it of just not necessarily staying focused, but keeping your eye on the field.
Yeah, I don't know there's going to be a lot of challenges other than just the specific road challenge. You know, we've played Illinois on the road early in the year. Went to a really good baseball environment with Sam 2 weeks ago. So from a weekend perspective, our guys know. You know, we had a flight in the fall with our mission trip to Dominican Republic. So everyone's been on a plane one time again. So none of it should be new. Beautiful place up there. They've got a really nice park. It looks like we've never played there in Orem. We played BYU last year, which is right next door. But I think the weather's going to be in the 40s to low 50s. So it'll be a little different than we're playing here, but our guys hopefully are weatherproof when we look at that in that regard. We're going to be out in the elements here in Abilene early in the year, so I think we'll be fine. Yeah, we got to get through tomorrow night first, and we'll kind of shift our sights on Utah Valley. They've got a new head coach there this year, so a little different brand than they've had. But we're 9 innings away from a day of prep and 9 innings away before we start to talk about Utah Valley right now.
You mentioned playing DBU in the fall. Has it been purposeful until now to not play them during the regular season?
Yeah, maybe a little bit early on. We've got a great relationship with those guys over there. It's just more the way their schedule was built and ours early. If you go back and look at, like, sometimes when you're a mid-major, the Power 5 games that we were playing with all the guys that we were both playing, there just wasn't a spot to play. I think this year a team that we both had on the schedule chose not to play either one of us, so it opens the door for us. So we jumped right on it, and we're playing each other, and it'll be exciting. So no, that's probably it. It was more so the schedule just had always kind of been stacked, you know, from an RPI standpoint with some of those bigger schools.
Yeah, you know, but later in the year, I know you bring Texas Tech here. Usually TCU comes here. But for this, DBU is a marquee name in college baseball. What's your pitch to Abilene to come out and?
Yeah, no, I think when I took the job here, years ago, it was, man, our goal is to become the best faith-based baseball program in the country. So I think in order to do that, DBU's probably at the forefront. Not probably, they're at the forefront of it. Grand Canyon certainly one. Oral Roberts is a team that people may be familiar with that has been to Omaha. Cal Baptist and those guys, they do a great job. So there's Liberty University. There's some schools that play really, really good baseball. I think we're right there knocking on the door with all those in the conversation with them. But in order to become that, like Dan and them at DBU, they've kind of set the mark in so many ways. So that's exciting. They've got a talented roster. I think we've got some talent on our roster. So I think it's a great night. It's a top 15 team. I don't know what they'll be in the poll this week, but I know last week they were 15. So there's not too often that you get to host a top 15 program in the country to come to Abilene. So I think I would put them in that line of, like, there's certainly a team and a program, I would say, that's an Omaha type program. They just haven't made it to Omaha yet. And I hope that's where we can kind of continue to raise the boat here as well. So it should be exciting. It's 3-2-5 night tomorrow night, man. We're going to have the Abilene jerseys on, the creams with the script across our chest, and try to represent Abilene the best way we can. So Would love for as many people to come out and watch. I think it's going to be a great night, great weather. So hopefully we can play well.
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.